Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Ian Gibbs here with Caribou Construction, and today I'm going to show you how to remodel a crawl space. This house was built in 1977 and the crawl space has not been touched since. There is rat shit and piss everywhere. There's insulation falling down. This needs some work. Okay, we're going to install a new vapor barrier. We're going to do all new floor insulation, and we're gonna wrap the whole thing in foam board insulation. So for that, we're gonna need special foam board glue. So we're gonna be using a 10 mil polyurethane plastic sheathing for the vapor barrier. And we're gonna be using about 25 rolls of floor joist insulation at R-19. We're gonna do a brand new door here right on the front, seal it out so that no rodents can get in or out. As you can see, there's a little hole right there where rodents have been getting in and out. We just stuffed this little 2x4 in front to prevent it, but we're gonna reseal this whole door off. All right, so for today's demo, we have a few Home Depot products. First of all, we have the HDX heavy duty coverall suit. I call it the poop suit. Here we got our 3M organic vapor acid gas cartridges. Those are filters for the masks. There we have some Gorilla grips. Here I have my 3M full face mask with the new cartridges and some Gorilla Grip nitrile gloves. Here we have all the insulation that we are going to be replacing for underneath the subfloor in the house. This is all Owens Corning R-19 at 16 inches wide for 16-inch joist spacing and comes in 35-foot rolls. Metal bars are to secure the insulation between the joists to hold it up into place. All of these products are available at Home Depot. All right, here we go. I got my knee pads on, I got my suit on, my mask, gloves, some trash bags, some of these Defiant lights, and a little bit of extension cord. So I'm ready to go underneath there. Got all my stuff ready, and yeah, enjoy the process. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting under there and starting and ripping it out. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. Enjoy. Now that I have all of my Home Depot PPE personal protective equipment on, I am ready to finally go underneath this house. And like I said, there is some nastiness under this house. Rats have been infiltrating, and as you can see, it is a rat nest. There is feces, urine, insulation everywhere. I mean, you can just see it dripping from the ceiling. It's quite nasty. It's a tier 1 rat situation, which means it needs to be handled immediately, taking top priority. And just going a little bit deeper into the crawl space, as you can see, the rats have turned this particular area into the bathroom. You can see all the ducting has been chewed through, and so all the dryer is just venting down below. It's not actually exhausting from there. The rats are getting in and out of the venting there. The rats, I mean, this is the rat palace. They've taken over completely. There's no humans down here. All this insulation on the walls is even falling down. So we are going to be cleaning all of this up, getting it back to square one. As you can see, this is a horrendous situation, but it's no problem for our team. We got dump trailers, trash bags, and here we go, starting the process with the insulation removal. And this was actually the easy part, because once we demo the insulation, it's all about cleaning up the rat. Fast forward, and we are all done with the clean out. Here's the last bag. You can see the poop suit is a little dirty. The last trailer run to the dump. Yeah, it's hot and sweaty down there, especially in those suits. It's nasty and hot. Now we have the bottom all cleaned out, and we just have those foam insulation panels left. Took a lot of work to get it to this spot, but this is really where we need to get it, is square one and figure out where exactly the rats are coming in. And I did not exactly get it on film, but I did figure out that the rats were coming in from this little spot where they anchored the framing to the foundation. They cut these little holes. So we had to foam insulate that in. Here's the dehumidifier running at full capacity, just scrubbing that air, dehumidifying it, drying it out. We are looking for any sources of mold. We did not find any mold, thankfully, underneath this house. It was really just a tier 1 rat issue that had to be addressed immediately. No renovation is complete without a proper dance session.
Fuck it, kill my enemy, dropping the beat. Fuck it, the insulation, I shit up a shit. Suck up my day, bitches are repeated, suck up my day. Pocket so late, shout out to thirst, cast the cutting. Look at it, how to show me. 애들 안 써줘야 니 이름이. 저리 샤레 왜 설레고 니 파코리 팔로우도 지르니 탱하니. 세준스 편이 왕지, 죄는 승원의 상향 니 다우지. 양한테 따라 니 잘 보지, 이대만의 쇼근요 따구지. 어제 잘 보이서 일라, 어차피 니 세지고 있고. 먹은 거 티슈가 베이고, 니 캔이 걸려 제시가 베이고. 셔는 여자다, 시도와 샤는 건 35도火花，是不是傻？人家不想弄咱的傻，要比我只有爱大。
And back to our regular programming. Here we go, looking at those nice, clean joist bays underneath the subfloor. Nice and clean, no mold. And here you can see we're just getting ready to put the insulation up in these upper cabinets. The insulation process is pretty simple, and with the old insulation, it was just too destroyed by the rats and mice to reuse it. But if you can reuse your insulation, that's great. In this situation, we were not able to, and it was much more worth it to just buy brand new insulation and reinstall it brand new for a better fit, better insulation, and cleaner experience. There's those metal tie rods that I showed you at the 16-inch that are going to hold up the insulation between those joists. They just kind of fit in there. There's nothing special that you have to do with any of this stuff. Just fit it, cut it to size, and put the little tie rod. Make sure that it looks nice and pretty. So here we're about halfway done with the room. We still have the dehumidifier running, and we have the rest of our insulation stage. Here is some of that great stuff insulation that we use to seal out the rats, and our 2x4 framework to seal out the rats as well, that we use Tapcon screws to screw into the concrete and attach that wood. Now, when gluing up these foam board panels to the foundation walls, it's incredibly important to use the right glue. This Loctite PL300 foam board is the correct glue because of the way that it interacts with the foam board. It doesn't melt. It actually glues the foam board to the foundation walls, which is incredibly important. Here I am using my utility knife to cut the tip off at a 45-degree angle. Here I'm going to use something sharp and long on the floor that I can poke into the protective film. You want to use a good amount of glue when applying these panels to the wall, especially on the sides and corners of the panels. I was using almost an entire tube of glue per panel, and I was obviously using some wood and items to prop up the panels to hold it against the wall, and did a little bit of foam insulated. Made sure that they're nice and stable. They got a really good suction on there, but like I said, you have to really use a lot of glue, almost an entire tube per, which was more than I had anticipated. So please do anticipate to use a lot of glue in this. Now, I did 2 layers because all of this foam board insulation material had been purchased and had just been sitting down. We wanted to reuse these materials because although they were covered in the tier 1 rat infection, they actually were all brand new when they were put down in this crawl space. So we wanted to minimize the amount of new material used, and with an unlimited budget, we would have probably used brand new panels or spray foam the walls. But here you can see we are using HVAC foil tape. This is to give an airtight seal to the whole space so that all of the insulation work that we've done really maintains and holds. There's no outside air interacting with any of the air in this space. And I actually left the old door up, so there's a double door, and I insulated both doors. So now that it's nice and sealed, you got the double door effect. That should help with the rats, air. This should be much warmer this year. Yeah, I'm super happy with how it's turned out. All new insulation. It's looking super clean, sealed out. No rats, no problems. Here we go with a little bit of UV. Those are my UV lights and my ozone generator. This is to just kill any airborne pathogens, mold spores, anything lingering down there that may be wreaking havoc or be just causing smell in the house. Here are the UV lights. You can see them go on, and this will just use UV radiation to kill any airborne spores or anything nasty smelling left over. As you can see, those panels have been reused. We tried to use the best ones and we did clean them off, but you can only do so much. And this ozone generator will definitely take care of smell, but it is incredibly hazardous to human health, so do be careful if you're going to use those. Now you can see me laying out the vapor barrier, and I started with all the walls and vertical spaces. It was actually very hard to get the tape going. I used 6-inch flashing tape, and I worked this 10 mil polyurethane vapor barrier around all the plumbing, all the pressure tanks, and just work it around the perimeter of the foundation, right? And I'm gonna, because it's about 10 feet wide, I'm going to leave it into the centers for a nice big overlap. Here you can see I'm just making some little squares so I can hold the plastic up in place because I'm doing this by myself. And then I can come back and use big runs of that flashing tape. Cut this back for the door. And here you can see I'm wrapping the pillars in the center, the cinder blocks that are holding up the load bearing. Now that I have the vapor barrier completely done with the new 10 mil polyurethane, I'm going to be using the 6-inch flashing tape to be taping all the remaining seams of all the pieces of plastic together to make one nice tight seal. As you can see, I'm just connecting the 2 big pieces of plastic with tape. Here are the pillars getting taped up. Make sure to keep your tape lines nice and clean and straight. I used several rolls of this stuff because if you think about it, the linear footage of this entire crawl space was taped over many times over. So plus to go around all this plumbing and stuff, you know, I had to cut into the plastic and make sure that it was taped up all nice around. You can see I put a second layer even around. This was a really good tape job. And I even took some of that foam glue and just kind of peeled back some of the tape in the corners and some of the higher traffic areas. And I actually used the foam glue and glued the vapor barrier plastic to the foam board insulation and then applied more tape. You really can't mess this up, but also too, you want to stay nice and clean, pretty, you know, nothing too like folded or out of whack or pulling on anything. Also too, when you step on it, you don't want it to pull down the stuff on the walls. Not a ton of materials in this build, but you're going to be using a lot of this tape and a lot of this plastic, a lot of insulation and a lot of glue and a lot of foam board. Really, that's it. So I'm just kind of wrapping up the final details here. Something that I didn't film that we did is actually closing out that dryer vent so that the rats can't get in or out of there, and fixing up that dryer vent. And I ran my dehumidifier for a couple more days. As you can see, we got it all the way down into the low 30s here, so mid 30s, so 36% humidification. This is a wrap. I'm really loving this, how it turned out, nice and clean. You could eat dinner down here in this crawl space. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.